What's up, everybody? Justin here with a new series of videos. This playlist. Check out, by the way, my Who's Better playlist. Check it out. As of right now, I only have one video in it, but there will be many more to come. I could do this series, Who's Better, picking wrestlers or tag teams against each other, and I decide who, in my opinion, is better, or who was better. Either who was a better singles wrestler or who was a better tag team. Again, this series, I can go on for years and years, if I wanted it to. I don't know how often I'll be doing videos about videos on who's better shows, but I already have down a lot of options. Future shows will be between who's better. Future who's better shows will be between the Road Warriors and the Dudleys, Asuka and Kairi Sane, AJ Styles and CM Punk, so many others who's better shows that I have planned on this piece of paper. So the first edition of Who's Better, the very first one, is between, I tried to tease it on my Twitter last night. The first Who's Better show is between, who I decide who's better, is between two Hall of Famers. A pretty funny thing I just thought of. Fun fact. This year, 2019, both of these guys become two-time WWE Hall of Famers this year. Bret Hart is going in as a part of the Hart Foundation tag team with Jim the Anvil Neidhart and Jimmy Hart. And now Shawn Michaels is going in as part of DX. So that's what this Who's Better show, the very first one, Who's Better, is between Bret the Hitman Hart and the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels, two Hall of Famers. Very soon, next weekend, they'll become two-time Hall of Famers. Just like Ric Flair's a two-time Hall of Famer. These are Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, legendary wrestlers and superstars. So here we go with who's better, Bret the Hitman Hart or the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels. First, I want to say, Bret the Hitman Hart made his debut in 1978. Shawn Michaels made his debut in 1984, in October of 84. Both guys started off wrestling in small territories before they got to the WWF. Of course, Bret wrestled in Stampede Wrestling, his father's promotion. He was a referee before he was a wrestler, debuted in 78. And then got signed, went to the WWF in late 83 or early 84. Or in 1984. Or 85 he went there, I think. But I think Bret was a singles wrestler at first. Before the Hart Foundation, they tried to use him as a singles wrestler and it did not work. Guess they wanted to make him a cowboy gimmick, like ride a horse to the ring. That would have been very dumb, but it was the 80s. But that's what Bret Hart said on his DVD anyways, that they want to make him cowboy Bret Hart before the Hart Foundation. So anyways, Shawn Michaels started off in worked for WCCW, was basically used as a jobber enhancement talent. Worked for Mid-South Wrestling. Same thing, was used to lose, basically, but at least he's getting work. Went to work for the territories, as I said, WCCW, Mid-South. I believe Shawn Michaels went to Kansas City in some territory there. Maybe it was maybe Harley Race was in control of that territory. I don't know. But I believe that's where Shawn Michaels met Marty Jannetty, was in Kansas City in like 85. So now I'm going to talk about, before I get to who is better, in my opinion, I'm going to just talk about the accomplishments that these guys have had, what they've done in their careers, titles they've held. I'm sure they held titles outside of WWF, and I'm sure they did. But I'm going to just mostly talk about the titles they held in WWF and when Bret went to WCW and Shawn Michaels in the AWA. So Bret Hart, the guy of a legendary career, held a lot of titles, had a lot of big moments. He won the Royal Rumble in 94. He main evented WrestleManias. He main evented WrestleMania 9. Was his first main event. Main evented WrestleMania 10. Main evented WrestleMania 12. Main evented only, WrestleMania 12 was his last main event at WrestleMania. But Bret Hart held the WWF Championship, now known as the WWE Championship. He held that 5 times. 5 times. He held the Intercontinental Championship 2 times. He held the tag team titles twice. In 87, him and Jim the Anvil Neidhart defeated the British Bulldogs, I believe, it was either on a Superstars of Wrestling episode or Saturday Night's Main Event, where they won the tag titles from the British Bulldogs. The crooked heel referee in the 80s, Dangerous Danny Davis, helped the Hart Foundation basically screw the British Bulldogs out of the tag titles. So then again, they won the tag titles. Bret Hart once again became a tag team champion in 87 was the first time. The second time Bret Hart won the tag team titles was 1990 at SummerSlam. Shawn Michaels, again, Bret Hart, 5-time WWF champ, 2-time Intercontinental champ, 2-time tag team champ, and a Royal Rumble winner. And I will admit, Bret Hart is one of the greatest WWF superstars of all time. He really was a franchise. He was a guy in the early 90s for the WWF. Even in 97, he was still the guy. Not the whole year of 97, but most of 97, Bret Hart was a main event player. So, now, also Bret Hart, WCW titles. I don't really like to mention his WCW run because it was god-awful. They just misused Bret so badly. It was really sad to see. I thought when Bret went to WCW, I was excited. I was happy for WCW, but I don't know. I didn't think it'd make WCW be on top any longer over WWF. I didn't think Bret would kill the WWF when he left. But I also didn't think that WCW so badly would misuse Bret Hart. just really badly. It was just stupid. They had him join the NWO. That was dumb. He should have been fighting the NWO. So, anyways, Bret Hart is a WCW, also U.S. champion. Might have held it twice. I'm not sure. Once or twice. Also is a WCW one-time World Heavyweight Champion. Sadly, he had to give up the title because of his bad concussion issues. He had to retire. In the early 2000, year 2000, Bret had to call it quits and hang up the boots for good, sadly. The guy could have still wrestled like 5 or 10 more years, in my opinion, if he did not get a really bad concussion. I don't know how bad the concussion was. Maybe Bret just thought, I don't want to come back to WCW because I'm miserable. Maybe he thought that. So maybe he told WCW, I'm still hurt. And he just kept getting paid. I don't know what he told them. But if I was him, I wouldn't have wanted to come back either. I would have just said, screw it. I'm going to retire and get paid sitting at home. And what a man, WCW, Ted Turner, you really wasted your money. I get it. Bret Hart was a major name, a big name, a huge international wrestling superstar. But you guys overpaid for him and you didn't get your money's worth at all. First, before Bret did not get injured, you barely used him. You didn't use him enough. You just did not use him enough in storylines at all or matches. You didn't have him work enough, in my opinion, because you didn't know what the hell to do with Bret Hart. I think Vince McMahon knew how to book Bret Hart the best, in my opinion. I mean, everybody should feel that way because Bret's best run was in the WWF, not WCW. WCW, Eric Bischoff, they didn't know what the hell to do with Bret, in my opinion. And it was so easy. So easy. When Bret Hart debuted in WCW, the guy, you could have had him get on the mic and rip Vince McMahon and rip the WWF and said, those guys screwed me. They can't be trusted. I don't know. You could have said, WWF sucks. Don't watch the competition or something like that. Instead, they brought him in as a guest referee, and it was dumb. So again, Bret Hart held many titles in the WWF and held 2 titles in WCW. Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels, I'm trying to think, is he a 3-time, I believe a 3-time Intercontinental Champion, a 2-time, this was hard to think about, but he's only been a 2-time WWF champion. Only won it twice. When he returned in 2002, he won the World Heavyweight title. That is not the WWE title. So 3-time Intercontinental Champion. 2-time WWF Champion. I guess it counts that the Rockers were the WWF Tag Champs in 1990 for 1 day. Or not even 2 weeks. And then they just took the titles off them because Vince did not like the match that the Rockers had with the Hart Foundation. So I don't know if that's on the record books or not, if the Rockers were actually the champions. Or maybe they erased them from the record books. I don't know. But the Rockers did win the titles and hold up the tag titles. I have a picture of it in a magazine. And I believe that's 1990 on an episode of Saturday Night's Main Event or Live Event. They won the tag titles off the Hart Foundation. But then they just took him away from the Rockers, I guess, because Vince did not like how the match went. So Shawn Michaels, if he didn't, let's say he didn't hold the tag titles with Marty Jannetty. Later on, he was a tag team champion with John Cena in 2007. I think it was 2007, before WrestleMania 23. They were the tag champs. Or before WrestleMania 23. So 2007. Also, Shawn Michaels was a tag team champion with his best friend, D-Generation X, were the tag team champions. I believe they were the unified tag team champions at one point. They had both titles when they were the tag champs. Also, Shawn Michaels was a AWA, a two-time AWA tag team champion. So now let's get to also, these guys held many titles in their career in the WWF. Both guys were Grand Slam winners. Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart were both Grand Slam winners. They held every title in the company in the 90s. Bret Hart did it first. Before Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart did it first when he won the WWF title in October 92 at a live event that was, I believe, taped for Coliseum Home Video against Ric Flair, where he defeated Ric Flair in the name of the town in Canada. It's hard to pronounce. Saskatchewan, Canada. That's where Bret won the first WWF title off Ric Flair. Again, it was put on a Coliseum Home Video release that I actually still have on video, that I bought years ago off Amazon. This was way before the network. I was buying a lot of wrestling videos off Amazon before the WWE network was available. I still have a ton of wrestling videos. I do not want to throw them out. I just don't. And I don't think I ever will. So anyways, what was I saying? Yeah, Bret Hart became the first Grand Slam champion. And then Shawn Michaels did it in 96 when he won the WWF championship. He already held the tag titles with Diesel. He was a tag champion with Diesel, Kevin Nash in 94. They were the tag champs. They defeated the Head Shrinkers on a live event before SummerSlam 94. So, even though if he didn't do it with Marty, he did do a tag title run with Marty Jannetty because they did it in the AWA, but not in the WWF if you don't count 1990. So he won them for the first time with Diesel, and then with Cena, and then with Triple H. So first off, who's better? In the 80s, I would have to say in the 80s, when Bret Hart got together with Jim the Anvil Neidhart, when they got together, they were just great. They clicked. They had great chemistry. They were one of the best tag teams ever the WWF ever had, especially in the 80s. They were at the top of their game, better than every other team, just about. The only other team that was as good, in my opinion, as the Hart Foundation in the WWF was the Brain Busters or Demolition. Those teams were just as good. But the Hart Foundation did it first. They were the most successful tag team in the 80s in the WWF. So Bret Hart was better. I will admit he was better in the 1980s. From the 1980s until 1995, I would say Bret Hart was better than Shawn. But Shawn was better at promos. In the early 90s, when Bret was still better for a little bit, for the first 5 years in the 90s, Bret was better. But 92, 93, 94, Shawn Michaels was better at promos. Much better talker than Bret always has been. Bret got better as a talker in 97 when he was a heel. But before that, Shawn was a better talker. So, from the 1980s to 1995, Bret Hart was better. But in my opinion, who's better? In my opinion, it goes to Shawn Michaels. He had more charisma. He had more personality. He was so goddamn over as a babyface in 95, 96. He could talk better. And he was better wrestler, more talented, more gifted in the ring. Could do high flying. Could wrestle any style. Shawn Michaels in 95, 96, 97. Nobody could touch him. The guy was the best performer in wrestling. In my opinion, he was the best in the world. In 95, 96, 97. A lot of people say Shawn Michaels was the wrestler of the 90s. I agree. So Shawn was a lot better than Bret, in my opinion. I gave it to Bret in the 80s until 1995, but from 95 to 1999, when Bret Hart had to call it quits, and actually pretty sad. I mean, not sad for Shawn Michaels because he got to return to the ring. That was fantastic to see. I was so goddamn happy when I found out Shawn Michaels was returning at SummerSlam 2002. I couldn't believe it. I was so happy because Shawn Michaels is one of my favorite wrestlers. So from 95 until 99, until Bret had to retire, Shawn was better. He's better in-ring performer. He's better on the mic. And he had more charisma. And yes, Bret Hart, one of the best technical wrestlers, but still, from 95 to 99, or from 95 until Shawn Michaels had to retire, Shawn Michaels, in my opinion, Shawn Michaels was a better wrestler and performer from 95 to 98. Sadly, Shawn Michaels had to retire or had really bad back injury, had back surgery. He went away probably to get clean and sober. I don't know if he went to rehab, but maybe he did. Shawn had to go away. After WrestleMania 14, he went away and he stayed retired for 4 years. It's really a miracle and pretty goddamn awesome he got to return to the ring because fans of his got to see him perform again for how long did he perform? 2002 to 2010. So he got to perform another 8 years. Or 7.5 years we got to see him. So Shawn Michaels sadly had to retire first. And then a year later, at the end of 99, Bret Hart is when he got injured at the end of 99 from Goldberg. Got super kicked in the head and suffered a really bad concussion. I don't doubt that he suffered a concussion. I'm sure he did. I just don't know if he really had to retire. He probably just didn't want to come back. And he actually did come back once on like a August, September edition 2000 of Nitro. He actually did come back and interfered in a triple cage match I don't know why they had him interfere, because he never came back and did anything again after that. So, anyways, that's kind of weird. There's a lot of similarities, a lot of freaky stuff between their careers and what they've been through. Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels both started as singles wrestlers. They both got together in tag teams, really great tag teams. The Rockers were really good, really over, but the Hart Foundation was better. Anyways, a lot of similarities. Start off as singles. They both got in tag teams. They both had managers in their career. Bret Hart had Jimmy Hart. Shawn Michaels had Sensational Sherry. So they both had managers in their career. They both been in great tag teams. They both became main eventers. They both have main evented WrestleManias. But Shawn Michaels is better because he wrestled longer. He had a longer career, and he had more charisma, he's more over, and he was better than Bret, in my opinion, from 95 to 98. Until Bret had to retire, Shawn was still better. So, what else did I want to say about these two guys? So, what else is weird about similarities? Shawn had to retire in 98. Bret had to retire in 99. Bret did not wrestle again after the year 2000. He never wrestled again. Unless you're going to count WrestleMania 26. And that wasn't a real match. That was just like a street fight. And Bret he didn't take any bumps at WrestleMania 26. Shawn Michaels came back. He's better because he wrestled longer and he had more charisma and he just had more talent than Bret, in my opinion. Shawn returned 2002 to 2000. I wrote it down somewhere. Yeah, 2002 to 2010. Shawn Michaels wrestled from 2002 in the summer until WrestleMania 26 in 2010. So Shawn had a much longer career. I know Bret started in 78. He wrestled a lot. He had great matches in Stampede Wrestling against Dynamite Kid and other guys. Bad News Braun, I believe, he had a feud with. So, my opinion, who's better between Bret the Hitman Hart, Shawn Michaels? It is Shawn Michaels, because he was a better performer in 95 on, and he wrestled longer until 2010. He was wrestling at a high level in 2010 still. Also, he's Mr. WrestleMania. The guy had classics, main events with Bret Hart, The Undertaker, twice. Classics with The Undertaker at WrestleMania. Classics with Ric Flair, WrestleMania 24, and classics with Triple H on other pay-per-views that were not WrestleMania. So now I'm going to talk about, let's see how many times Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels won PWI awards, Pro Wrestling Illustrated awards. Match of the year. Bret Hart won Match of the Year twice. So, yeah, Bret Hart won Match of the Year twice. First time in 1992 against Dave Boy Smith at SummerSlam 92, and Bret Hart again won Match of the Year in 1996 against Shawn Michaels for their WrestleMania 12 match. So then, Again, Bret and Shawn won matches of the year from the PWI. They also had feuds of the year, or maybe Shawn didn't. I have to check. But feuds of the year. Bret Hart had one feud of the year in 1993 for his feud against Jerry the King Lawler. That was a really good feud. I can still remember Lawler attacking Bret after he won King of the Ring. That was pretty cool. 94, Bret Hart won again PWI Feud of the Year in 1994. Bret Hart against Owen Hart. Most popular wrestler, Shawn Michaels won Most Popular Wrestler twice. Shawn Michaels won Most Popular Wrestler in 1995 and 96. Most hated wrestler. Bret Hart won it. PWI Most Hated Wrestler of the Year. Bret Hart won it in 1997. And he should have. The guy's a really hated heel. Really hated in the United States. But in Canada, the guy was loved. So, they probably maybe they won Tag Team of the Year. Bret and Shawn. Who knows? As when they were in tag teams, they probably did. I'll look it up. So, maybe they didn't. I don't see them. That is pretty shocking. For PWI Tag Team of the Year, Bret Hart and Hart Foundation and Rockers never won it. Never won it, sadly. Hart Foundation was close. In 87, Hart Foundation was the runner-up, the first runner-up in 87, but the Midnight Express won. And I don't even see the Rockers listed. The Rockers were never even a runner-up for Tag Team of the Year. That's kind of surprising. It's really surprising. The Hart Foundation never won PWI Tag Team of the Year. They never did. They were close. In 87, they were the first runners-up. Wrestler of the Year for PWI, Wrestler of the Year, Bret and Shawn, sadly never won it. Somehow in 95, Diesel won it. The guy was not the Wrestler of the Year. He was not that bad of a champion, but he was not the Wrestler of the Year. In 95, Shawn Michaels was the first runner-up for Wrestler of the Year in 95. In my opinion, he should have won. In 96, Shawn Michaels was the runner-up. First runner-up in 96 for Wrestler of the Year was Shawn Michaels. Now, maybe Shawn won Wrestler of the Year after 2002 for PWI. I don't know, because his book only goes back to 2001 because it's a 2002 PWI Wrestling Almanac. So I hope you enjoyed this first episode of Who's Better between Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, two legendary talents. I'm a fan of both guys, but I always like Shawn better. Who's better between Bret, Shawn Michaels? My opinion is Shawn Michaels. What's your opinion? Who's better in your opinion? Leave it in the comments who you would pick is better between Bret the Hitman Hart and the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels. Bye for now, everybody.